My best friend is stunningly beautiful and often fantasizes about being noticed by a wealthy man, so she can become a carefree rich wife. Because of this, she often dresses in revealing clothes to deliver takeout in upscale residential areas and villa communities. In my previous life, I worried that my best friend might attract the wrong kind of attention and advised her to focus on more serious pursuits. She took my advice and stopped, unexpectedly, not long after. News broke online about the most beautiful delivery girl marrying the son of the wealthiest man in the country. When my best friend found out, she was both furious and regretful, believing that I had caused her to miss this opportunity. But what she didn't know was that the most beautiful delivery girl was actually a top student from a prestigious university who took on delivery work to support her family during difficult times. The wealthy man was impressed by her intellect and chose her to be his daughter-in-law. My best friend wouldn't listen to my explanation and accidentally stabbed me to death during our argument. Given a second chance at life, I decided not to interfere with her life anymore. Gasping for breath, I woke up from my nap on the living room sofa, the sharp fruit knife still feeling as if it were plunged into my chest. Outside, the sun was setting. Glancing at my phone, I saw it displayed a date from a year ago. I knew I had been reborn. Seeing me sitting dazed on the sofa, my best friend, who had just changed into a provocative outfit and emerged from her room, sneered and confronted me. "You have 2 days to move out. I don't want to see you ever again." I watched my best friend, dressed in a tight purple bodycon miniskirt and seductive black stockings, and as she hurled insults at me, I knew she had also been reborn. Without hesitation, I nodded decisively. Seeing that I was being sensible, my best friend ignored me further, snorted coldly, and walked out the door. My best friend and I became close friends in high school and later attended the same university. At first, she maintained the diligence from her high school days and even earned a scholarship in her first year of college. However, after seeing many female classmates living comfortably by attaching themselves to wealthy men, she gradually slacked off and shifted her focus to dressing herself up. In college, my best friend also dated a few wealthy boyfriends thanks to her stunning looks, but none of the relationships lasted long. However, this fueled her ambition. My best friend's parents passed away early, leaving her only a modest inheritance and a property. I felt sorry for her, so I often advised her not to make the wrong choices, just as my parents had taught me. But I never expected that this would become my own death warrant. My best friend had long resented me for constantly interfering with her decisions, and what happened in my previous life was simply the moment she finally snapped. After being reborn, I no longer want to meddle in her affairs. I just want to take care of myself. After all, everyone has their own karma, and interfering in others' matters means bearing the consequences of their actions. I sat in silence for half an hour, and after thinking everything through, I packed my things and moved out of my best friend's apartment overnight, spending the night in a hotel with 2 large suitcases in tow. The next day, I contacted my local roommate, Yuran, and asked her to help me look for a suitable rental, so I could secure a place to live first. Although I hadn't found a job yet, my parents had started a small business back home and had some savings, so I called my mom to ask for money. "Hello, Mingyue, what's up?" Hearing my mother's gentle voice on the other end of the line, my eyes welled up with tears. I haven't been home since graduating from college, so including the time from my previous life, it's been almost a year since I last saw my parents, especially after experiencing death once. I feel quite aggrieved and miss them deeply. "Hello, Mom," not hearing my voice for a while, spoke again with some confusion. "I'm fine, Mom. It's just that I need to rent a place now, and I don't have enough money. I wanted to ask you for some." Tears streamed down my face, my voice choked up, but I still tried to sound cheerful as I spoke to her. Mom keenly noticed something off in my voice. "What's wrong, Mingyue? Are you facing any difficulties? Has someone been bullying you?" Seeing that my mother had seen through me, I stopped pretending and burst into tears. "It's nothing, Mom. I just had a falling out with my good friend Linling, and I'm a bit upset." "Don't worry about me, Mom." "Oh, I see. It's okay, Mingyue, you still have me and your dad. You can always talk to us if something is bothering you." My mother comforted me gently. "Tell Mingyue to come home. Even if she doesn't find a job, we can support her for the rest of her life. Why should she make things hard for herself out there?" My father's rough voice came from the other end of the phone. "What are you talking about? It's a good thing Mingyue has her own ideas. Do you want your daughter to become a useless little good-for-nothing?" Mom scolded Dad, and Dad let out a simple, honest laugh. "I just didn't think that much about it. I just didn't want my daughter to suffer." Hearing my parents' interaction, tears poured out like a broken dam. I am their only daughter, and I don't know how they felt when they learned of my death in my previous life, even if it's just for my parents. I have to take good care of myself and protect myself, all right? That's enough, Mingyue. Mom will transfer the money to you in a little while. Someone is delivering goods right now, and your dad can't handle it alone, so I need to go help. Okay, bye, Mom. Be careful. Goodbye, Mingyue. Call me when you have time. With that, my mom hung up the phone. I stared at my phone, lost in thought for a long while. Soon after, a text message came in. My bank card had received a deposit of 100,000 yuan. At that moment, my roommate Yuren also sent a message saying she had found a place for me and negotiated the price. I could move in today, so I immediately grabbed my suitcase, hailed a taxi, and headed to the address Yuren had given me. Unexpectedly, the building of this apartment was right across from my best friend's building. No wonder the address looked so familiar. I signed the one-year contract without hesitation. Yuran even helped me negotiate the price down from 42,000 to 36,000. She truly lives up to the title of economist. Yuran's family is quite wealthy, but she grew up living with her grandmother and learned her grandmother's absolute control over money usage. Things can be expensive, but they must be worth it. After the agent handed me the keys, Yuran helped me organize my belongings. What's wrong? Weren't you living with your best friend? Why did you suddenly move out? Are you no longer going to be her good nanny? Yuren was being a bit sarcastic, but I knew she meant no harm. She was just teasing me. I misjudged people. I thought I was being good to them, but who knows what they really think of me. We've fallen out, and I'll never help clean up their messes again. It's good that you've fallen out. I could tell long ago that this friend of yours wasn't a good person, always bossing you around and constantly coming to our dorm to take your things without asking. Yet you seem to enjoy it. So we didn't feel we could say anything. Yuren seemed genuinely happy, as if I had achieved something great. This is what a true friend is, someone who genuinely wants the best for you. Because of my kindness, my best friend Linling always bosses me around. Deep down, I feel sorry for her being all alone, so I willingly help her, but that doesn't give her the right to take advantage of me. In my past life, I really wanted to make a name for myself in the big city, but this time, I don't. It's not a bad idea to go back home and take it easy, helping my parents with more things, much better than taking care of this ungrateful person. However, before going home, I want to see with my own eyes what happens to Lin Ling, to see if she really will catch the eye of a wealthy man and rise to success. After packing up my things, Yuren offered to treat me to a meal to celebrate my finally seeing Lin Ling for who she is, and she also called and invited our other two roommates, Qin Yu and Xiao Mengmeng, who hadn't left the city yet. We went together and had a great hot pot meal. At the dinner table, Yuran told Ayu and Mengmeng about my situation. Both Ayu and Mengmeng were very happy, as they had long seen through Lin Ling's true nature and felt I deserved better. I shared my thoughts, and all three of them were very supportive. They also wanted to see how Lin Ling would end up and told me to let them know if I needed any help. I was deeply moved, although I lost Lin Ling. My sincerity and kindness brought me together with more sincere and kind-hearted people. On the way back to the neighborhood, I happened to run into Lin Ling, who was about to go out to deliver takeout. I stood in the shadow of a tree under the streetlight, and she didn't notice me. Today, she was wearing a strapless pink puff dress that was quite revealing. Her helmet was adorned with fluffy pink fox ears, and a large bow was tied at the back, making her look like a carefully prepared gift for someone else. I have to admit, Lin Ling is indeed good-looking, with an excellent figure, but her intentions are misguided. Acting this way will surely lead to a bad outcome. In the following days, I saw Lin Ling coming out wearing different sexy dresses from upstairs, full of fighting spirit. She slept during the day and stayed out all night without showing any signs of fatigue. A month had passed, and Lin Ling had made no progress whatsoever. I could see she was getting discouraged, as she hadn't come out for several days. Just when I thought she was about to give up, I unexpectedly came across her account on a short video app. Lin Ling was filming herself delivering food. Thanks to her good looks and bold outfits, she had already gained 3 million followers. She had hired a water army to boost her popularity, praising herself as the most beautiful delivery person. There were also candid shots taken by passers-by, all of which highlighted her external advantages. So, she had found a new way to avoid the exhaustion of running around every day. Now, she no longer went out at night but instead stayed home to live stream, though she dressed more modestly for that. I switched to my alternate account and entered the live stream. After watching for a while, I understood. Lin Ling had finally realized that relying solely on her looks wouldn't work. Now, she was live streaming to explain problems to people, showcasing her knowledge. So, she had actually listened to what I said in my past life. Then why did she treat me that way? Although Lin Ling didn't study very hard in college, she still had a solid foundation from high school, so explaining a few problems to others was no issue at all. As a result, Lin Ling gained even more followers. She posted beautiful photos during the day and live-streamed problem-solving sessions at night, even trending on social media at one point. This time, The hashtag most beautiful delivery girl finally belonged to her. That night, after finishing her live stream, she suddenly sent me a message. I hadn't deleted her contact information because I wanted to see if she would truly reach the peak of her life. She probably wanted to show off to me or tell me that her decision was right, which is why she hadn't deleted me either. Lee Mingyue, you must have seen the trending topic too. Right, I'm telling you. I will definitely be the one who catches the eye of a wealthy person in this lifetime. Don't even think about stopping me again. Not replying to someone's message is impolite, so of course I'll wish her well. I saw it. Wishing you success. She didn't reply to me again, probably satisfied with my compliance, but I know she's likely not far from falling into the abyss. If Lin Ling were content with making money from live streaming now, with so many fans and a few advertisements, she could easily earn a fortune. However, she is obsessed with marrying a wealthy man, which is destined to lead to no good outcome. Relying on others is never as reliable as relying on oneself. Not long after, Lin Ling stopped live streaming, just as I was wondering why, I came across her whereabouts on my social media feed. Finally, I've found you, my Prince Charming. Below this sentence were several pictures that looked very exquisite. It looks like it's at the rooftop garden restaurant. Lin Ling is wearing an evening gown that appears to be quite expensive, along with pricey jewelry, and she's dancing with a man, though his face isn't visible. Could it be that she really ran into him? I sent those few pictures to Yuran. Not long after, Yuran replied to me, the prices at this restaurant are quite affordable, the evening gown is a knockoff, and the jewelry is fake. If the clothes and jewelry were real, they wouldn't have chosen to dine here. Lin Ling posted these pictures to show off, so she made sure to capture the details of what she was wearing very clearly. Little did she expect that Yuran would see through it at a glance. I replied with an I got it emoji. Lin Ling has always lived a frugal and hard life, so it's normal that she can't tell these things. I just don't know why she trusts this man so much. During this period, I haven't seen Lin Ling coming in and out of this neighborhood, but her social media updates frequently, showing off the various designer bags and clothes her boyfriend bought for her. While I was scrolling through, I didn't expect Lin Ling to send me another message. There were two pictures, one of her hand wearing a diamond ring as big as a pigeon egg, and another of her and that man in Western-style wedding attire. Lee Mingyue, look, I succeeded. If it weren't for you, I should have lived this kind of life in my previous life too. It's all your fault, and you even made me bear the charge of murder. Now it's my fault again. I still remember in my previous life when she pointed a knife at me, she said it was all because I was jealous of her beauty, so I kept suppressing her, saying I was mentally controlling her. But it really is my fault. I shouldn't have meddled in her affairs. I guess I deserved it in my previous life. I didn't reply to her and saved those two pictures. Let's see if you've really succeeded. The next day, I directly asked Yuran out to hang out. I've been staying in my room almost all this time and was about to suffocate. Once things with Lin Ling are settled, I'm going to travel for a while. What's going on? Is there news about Lin Ling again? Yuran hurriedly drove her family's luxury car to pick me up, leaning out of the window to ask before I even got in. Wait until I get in first, then I'll tell you slowly, I said, somewhat amused. I opened the car door, got in, and handed my phone to Yuran, letting her look at the pictures on it. Wow, Yuran exclaimed, I don't understand. Is this for real? Did Lin Ling manage to hook a real wealthy man? No. I'm just surprised. Such a huge pigeon egg, made of glass. Ha ha ha. Yuran laughed for quite a while. At first glance, I thought she had actually landed a real one. The craftsmanship of the ring is quite good. Just for the craftsmanship alone, it must be worth several thousand yuan. I was speechless and clicked open another group photo to show her. So, do you know this person? Of course I do. How could I not? This is the only survivor of the Hu family, which declared bankruptcy a few years ago. His name is Hu Yunjing. His parents couldn't handle the blow and passed away, leaving him all alone. There hasn't been any news about him in recent years. This guy is far from wealthy. He might even owe billions. He's been borrowing money everywhere, but the Hu family did too many wrongs in the past, and no one is willing to help them. I thought he had left this place, but I never expected he'd managed to deceive your good friend. Then, all those things Lin Ling has been showing off must be fake. I showed Yuran Lin Ling's social media posts again. Fake. My mom ordered one of these bags, and it hasn't even been shipped yet. As far as I know, this model isn't available domestically right now. Only pictures exist. It's definitely fake. Even the real bag is something Hu Yunjing couldn't afford. Yuran was quite certain. Your best friend is in for a rough time. Hu Yunjing must still be in debt. If she marries him, your best friend will be completely drained. But Linling doesn't have any money. At most, she earned a bit from her live streams before, but it's definitely not enough for her to splurge like that. Who knows, maybe Hu Yunjing has other intentions. Let's just sit back and watch the show. Come on, I'll take you to eat. Not 2 days later, I actually received an electronic invitation from Linling. It was an engagement invitation for her and that Hu Yunjing. My husband said I should invite my own friends to come take a look, after all. I've known you for so many years, so I'll reluctantly let you get a glimpse of the life of the upper class. Don't be shy about coming. Her tone was quite haughty, but she forgot that although my family isn't particularly wealthy, we took care of her quite a bit over the years. She's just being presumptuous. In that case, I'll go and see for myself. I informed Yuran and my other 2 roommates, Yu and Mingming. They had originally planned to go home, but they stayed back because they wanted to see Linling's spectacle, so I decided to bring them along. I believe Linling would be thrilled to show off in front of us. The more people there are, the more her vanity would be satisfied. On that day, Yuran picked up all of us, accompanied by 4 burly bodyguards. Ran, what's this? Mingming was a bit timid. It's fine. The man Linling married is no good. My home is here. And since I'm the host showing you around, I naturally have to ensure your safety. Don't be afraid. They're very nice. Mingming finally felt at ease. I was very grateful to Yuran. This was clearly my issue, yet she went to so much trouble for it. Yuran seemed to sense my thoughts and said cheerfully, "Don't think I'm doing this for you. Ever since school ended, I've been so bored. I don't want to go abroad, and I've just been staying at home, gardening with my grandma. No, having some fun to watch. I should actually thank you." Yuran was very sincere, so I no longer felt reserved. Soon, we arrived at the address on the invitation, which was the rooftop garden restaurant where Linling had first sent it. How strange. We took the elevator to the top floor, but there was no sign of a wedding being held here. It seems Hu Yunjing no longer has the money to keep up appearances, not even able to book this restaurant. There were many of us in our group, and we immediately caught others' attention. Linling also quickly noticed us. "It's Mingyue, you brought friends along. Come over quickly." Linling greeted me with great enthusiasm, as if we were still as close as before. We walked over, with the 4 bodyguards following behind. That small area was blocked off by curtains and some floral partitions, with only 3 tables, 2 of which were already full. A few of us went to sit at the empty table. The other 2 tables are occupied by Hu Yunjing's former lackeys. Be careful. Yuran sent a message in our dormitory group chat of 4. Since the other 2 tables were already full, Linling pulled Hu Yunjing to sit at our table. Yuran. After sitting down, Hu Yunjing glanced at each of us, paused when he saw Yuran, and then looked delighted. "Linling, do you still know miss you?" "What miss you?" Yuran. Linling looked at Hu Yunjing in confusion. Hu Yunjing nodded heavily. "She is the roommate of my good friend Mingyue." Linling couldn't hold back her emotions. Today was their engagement banquet, so why was he paying attention to someone else? Oh, I see. Hu Yunjing seemed to notice Linling's displeasure and affectionately patted her head. Linling finally smiled, looking quite smug as she said to me, "Mingyue, Yunjing treats me very well. Since neither of us has any elders, we only invited some friends to gather as witnesses. So, what do you think? See anyone you like. Don't say I'm doing well and forgetting about you. I can introduce you to anyone over there." The people at the other 2 tables overheard Linling's words and turned to look at us. It was clear at a glance that they weren't good people. "You don't have to be polite. If you like anyone, just let me know, and I'll introduce you to a wealthy partner." Linling pretended to be very generous. If it weren't for the fear of causing a scene and making things awkward for me, my 3 roommates would have probably slammed the table and walked out on the spot. "What kind of nonsense is this? Better not. You just enjoy yourself," I replied. I can see that Linling is highly regarded among this group, so she must really enjoy this feeling. Sure enough, she didn't pick up on the sarcasm in my words. Yunjing's friends are really nice, and they take good care of me, with me here. They'll look out for you too when you come. Take a closer look, see if there's anyone you like. Linling didn't catch my sarcasm. Instead, she felt her pride was at stake and kept pressing me. Yuran couldn't bear to listen any longer and changed the subject. "Is this restaurant very expensive? Why didn't your fiancé book the whole place? It's just a few tables and a handful of people." Hu Yunjing's expression momentarily fell. Aside from his lackeys at those 2 tables, only Yuran knew his true situation. If it were exposed, Linling would definitely break up with him. Yuran cast a rather mocking glance at Hu Yunjing. Linling was completely unaware and thought Yuran was just stirring up trouble. "Don't be ungrateful. I kindly invited you here to broaden your horizons. Without me, would you even be able to come?" Yunjing said, "It's just a small gathering with a few friends. The ceremony is just for show." And the money is definitely meant to be spent on me, to buy me a few more designer bags. As she spoke, she even held up her branded bag. But through you ran, I knew it was a fake. How about it? Never seen it before, right? I'm the only one in the country who has it right now. You ran and I knew it was fake. Seeing Lin Ling's ignorant and smugly foolish expression, we couldn't help but lower our heads to stifle our laughter. Yu and Meng Meng didn't want the atmosphere to turn cold and wanted to keep the game going, so they enthusiastically echoed Lin Ling, praising how beautiful it was and how much Hu Yunjing doted on her. Hu Yunjing also seemed to regain his footing, though he shot a dark glance at Yuran, which I happened to catch, but I wasn't worried. The bodyguards Yuran had brought looked like they could take on 4 Hu Yunjings each, which felt very reassuring. Before long, the dishes were all served. None of us dared to eat much, as we were just there to watch the show. There were 2 other tables nearby, and we didn't want to get ourselves involved. After the meal, Lin Ling went to the restroom to touch up her makeup. Hu Yunjing tried to strike up a conversation with Yuran, but Yuran ignored him, which left him visibly annoyed. Yuran, our family never provoked yours before. I advise you to accumulate some virtue and not ruin my good fortune, Yuran sneered. Who wants to ruin your good fortune? We're just here to see the world. Besides, do you think you can even get close to my family? Do you think you can afford to provoke us? I noticed Hu Yunjing's fists clenching tightly and quickly pulled Yuran further away. If she got hurt, I would feel terrible. After Lin Ling came out, everyone returned to normal and suggested moving on to the next event. However, none of us were interested in continuing, and we hadn't even finished eating yet. We declined Lin Ling's invitation, and she scolded us for being ungrateful before dragging Hu Yunjing away. Sometime after Lin Ling got engaged, I saw her moving. Several small trucks were called to move things, along with various pieces of furniture. What's going on? Why is Lin Ling moving? I looked down at the building with binoculars. The reason I spotted Lin Ling at a glance was because she was wearing a fiery red bodycon skirt. Even without binoculars, she would have been easy to spot. Let me see. Yuran snatched the binoculars from me and also looked down. Then, with a contemptuous smile, she said, "It seems your good friend has already sold her house for Hu Yunjing." Really? I took the telescope and looked a few more times. Indeed, if Lin Ling were just moving in with Hu Yunjing, there wouldn't be such a fuss. That house was left to her by her parents. It must be worth several million by now. Her parents worked their whole lives for it. And she just sold it like that. I felt a bit regretful. Who knows, blinded by love, I suppose. Yuran sighed as well. Ever since Yuran saw Hu Yunjing and Lin Ling together last time, she occasionally stayed at my place for a few days to observe Lin Ling's situation. The next day, I saw Lin Ling post on her social media, with a large villa in the background and the caption, "My husband opened a company for me. My husband lets me live in a villa." Not long after, Lin Ling sent me a message with that photo of her in the villa, along with a picture of an office, making her look like a true career woman. See, Li Mingyue, now you know your past life was a joke, right? I really regret listening to your advice all those years. If I hadn't, I might have reached the peak of my life long ago. Why bother studying so hard, considering we've been friends for so many years? I'll let you work as a small employee in my company. I know you haven't found a job yet. And I thought you were so impressive. After reading all this, both Yuran and I were speechless. She must have been deceived by Hu Yunjing. I guess it won't be long before he closes the net. Just wait and see her cry then. If she asks you for money, don't pay any attention to her. After saying these words, Yuran didn't offer much explanation. I don't know much about these things, but I do know that good things don't just fall from the sky. Lin Ling's good days are about to come to an end. Sure enough, 3 days later, Lin Ling suddenly called me. I didn't answer, and after 3 consecutive calls, I finally picked up. It seemed like a truly urgent matter. Mingyue. Lin Ling's voice trembled slightly. Mingyue, could you lend me some money? Not much, just 5 million, and I'll make you a major shareholder in my company. Yuran's guess was spot on, and it was such an outrageous demand. You need that much? Where would I get that kind of money? Isn't your fiancé a wealthy tycoon? Can't he even spare 5 million? Lin Ling clearly grew more anxious. Yunjing's assets have been frozen, and he can't access a single cent. Mingyue, we're best friends, right? I know your family runs a business and must have money. Could you please ask your parents to help me? I know Yuran's family is also wealthy. Could you ask her too? If she gives me 10 million, I can get through this crisis. We'll still be best friends afterward, okay? I promise I'll listen to you. I'm really speechless. Who can come up with 10 million all at once? Yuran's family may be wealthy, but why should they give it to her? She really thinks too highly of herself. No, not a single cent, I replied coldly. She suddenly screamed, and I quickly moved the phone away from my ear to protect my hearing. Mingyue, aren't we best friends? Why won't even you help me? You clearly have money, so why won't you help? I hate you all. I hate you. Linling's state didn't seem right, so I quickly hung up the phone and blocked all her contact information. After all, she had already gotten the outcome she deserved. I called Yuren and told him about the situation. Yuren said he would ask around to see what was going on. Not long after, Yuren called and told me about Linling's ordeal. Linling has gotten her comeuppance, that Hu Yunjing was indeed up to no good. He handed over his debt-ridden company to Linling to manage, and you know how Linling sold her house earlier and had some assets. Hu Yunjing sweet-talked her into pouring all her money into the company, but that wasn't nearly enough, so, under the pretense of company projects, he coaxed her into taking out various loans, all of which went into the company. Now, Hu Yunjing's debts have been fully repaid, and the company under his name is operating normally, but all the previous debts have been transferred to Linling. After hanging up the phone, I felt a bit emotional. At most, I had been worried that Linling might be deceived in a romantic sense, but I never expected she would be manipulated so ruthlessly. Just as I thought this was the end and was about to pack up and go home, Yuren called me again. Mingyue, let me tell you something interesting, that Hu Yunjing sold the company, took all the money, and ran off. Now he's nowhere to be found, probably fled abroad. I don't know if you've seen the news, but there's something about the most beautiful delivery girl and her current miserable state. Linling went to Hu Yunjing's company, only to be kicked out. She only found out then that the company had already been sold to someone else by Hu Yunjing. She threw a tantrum right outside the company building, and now she's probably in jail. Is that even possible? Hearing Yuren say this, I even felt a bit of sympathy for Linling. Morally, it's not right to do that, but Hu Yunjing, just like his parents, is no good person. His parents ran a company that exploited employees, and their products were a complete mess. All they cared about was making money, but in the end, they got reported, and the money they made wasn't even enough to cover the compensation. They completely squandered the family business they inherited. Hu Yunjing probably knew he couldn't grow the company either, so he just ran off. Is Linling now heavily in debt? Yes, so you should be careful if she comes to borrow money from you. People like her don't know how to be grateful. If you help her, she'll keep clinging to you. But since you've already seen her true colors, I believe you won't make any foolish mistakes. By the way, Yuren, I have to leave here. I'll come back to hang out with you once this matter is over. I told Yuren about my plan to leave first. Yuren understood and supported me. Linling is closer to me, so she'll definitely come looking for me. It's the right choice for me to go back and avoid her for now. After finishing my conversation with Yuren, I continued packing my things. It seemed I had to make a quick escape, judging from what happened in my past life. If Linling found me, I definitely wouldn't end up well. Later, my phone received many more unfamiliar calls. I knew exactly who they were from, but I didn't answer, not a single one. That day, I called my dad and told him I was coming home. Then, I mailed back the things I couldn't carry and bought a plane ticket for the next day, heading home with just a suitcase and a small backpack. After getting off the plane, I spotted my dad's car right away. When I arrived home, I saw that my mom had prepared a whole table of my favorite dishes. It feels so good to be back home. I don't want to go out and work on my own anymore. Taking over the family business is pretty good too. Half a month later, Yuren suddenly called, saying that Linling couldn't repay her debts and was accidentally stabbed to death by debt collectors. Opening the video app, the incident had indeed made it to the trending topics, along with the entire process of how Linling was scammed and ended up in debt. For a while, some said Linling deserved it, while others cursed Hu Yunjing for being inhuman. Yuren sent me a picture, a photo from Linling's scene, which was also trending on social media, but it had been censored. The one Yuren sent wasn't censored. I could clearly see that small knife plunged into Linling's chest, exactly where she had stabbed me with a sharp blade in my previous life. So, in my past life, I had suffered in her place. In this life, without interfering in her affairs, she had to bear these wounds herself. After this matter was settled, I recounted all my experiences in full detail to my parents, including the fact that I had been reborn. My parents didn't doubt me at all. They just felt sorry for what I had been through, saying I had suffered. After all the turmoil had passed, I invited all my roommates for a long overdue graduation trip, deciding to have fun first and worry about the rest later. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My sister and I had our seats forcibly taken by someone. The old man who took our seats arrogantly claimed he was illiterate and couldn't read the ticket, then scolded my sister and me for not respecting our elders, but he didn't know that my sister was already dead, and she died a tragic death. Taking the seat of someone who died an unnatural death is to pay with one's life. I am a corpse driver from Shemshi. On the day of the Mid-July festival, my master asked me to escort a girl who died an unnatural death back home for burial. The girl's name was Huanko, about the same age as me, although my master insisted. Huanko died by cutting her wrist, committing suicide, but the bruises all over her body, the rope marks on her hands and feet, and the several gruesome knife wounds on her right wrist, all indicate Huanko's death was not that simple. The intense resentment dyed her clothes a deep blood red. Among countless vengeful spirits, the red-clothed ones are the most formidable. Coupled with the fact that it was the day of the ghost festival when she was guiding the corpse, the peril involved goes without saying. First, I used cinnabar to seal Huanca's 7 orifices. Then, I used a thin thread soaked in black dog's blood to stitch up the gruesome knife wounds on her wrists. Finally, I placed the corpse-driving yellow talisman on Huanca's chest. This yellow talisman is a secret paper charm passed down by the corpse-driving sect of Western Hunan. It can facilitate the corpse drivers in controlling the bodies. It can also suppress the resentment of the deceased. My master instructed me to disguise myself as Huanca's sister for the journey. We set off in the early morning, staying far away from the living, avoiding temples and Taoist shrines along the way, even the train ticket to Huanca's hometown. The master deliberately bought the same train she often took during her lifetime, and a window seat. All of this was to soothe Huanca and suppress her resentment. After all, the red-cloaked corpse rises, and corpses lie for miles. At that time, all those who have offended her will suffer. Finally squeezing onto the train, I made my way to my seat according to the ticket. I had just set down my luggage. I just felt a jolt from behind. An old man carrying a large bag of luggage forcefully pushed me and Huanca aside, right in front of us. He directly took over Huanca's seat. It was midsummer, and the weather was scorching hot. I stood beside Huanca, yet I felt a bone-chilling cold. The old man had taken over Huanca's seat. He then placed his own luggage and belongings directly on top of mine. He crossed his legs and leaned back in the chair as if no one else was around, munching on sunflower seeds while playing a video on the phone out loud. Out of all the people who just got on the bus, the old man had to pick this seat to hog. He's just taking advantage of the fact that we're 2 girls and easy to bully. I braced myself and walked over. Sir, these are my sisters and my seats. You've taken our seats. The old man glanced up at me, showing no intention of getting up at all. There are so many seats in the back. Why can't you sit there? You 2 girls, don't cause any trouble for me. I took out my ticket and pointed to the seat and name on it. Please take your assigned seat and move aside. As soon as the words were spoken, the old man became a bit anxious. He pushed my hand away and shouted, "Get away, I can't read. I don't understand. I didn't steal or rob. I sat down first, so this seat is mine. You 2 young girls, don't you know to respect the elderly and care for the young? First come, first served." The commotion attracted the train attendant. After learning the details of the situation, the attendant also patiently advised the old man, "Mr. Zhou, you purchased a standing ticket. If no one is in this seat, you can sit here. Now that the passenger has boarded, you should give up the seat." Old man Zhou, upon hearing this, flung the melon seed shells in his hand to the ground, pointing at the flight attendant's face, his eyes wide with fury. "I paid for my ticket too, so I should have a seat. You're all ganging up to bully me just because I'm old. Even if the King of Heaven himself came today, I still wouldn't give up this seat. Oh dear, my heart." Seeing old Joe clutching his chest in agony, the flight attendant didn't dare argue with him any further. I had no choice but to turn around and try to persuade me. They said they would arrange 2 seats in the same carriage for me and Huanco, and no one would take those seats before we got off. I glanced at the arrogant old man Zhou. In just a short while, a heavy aura of death had enveloped his entire body. 2 patches of lividity appeared out of nowhere at the corners of his eyes and between his eyebrows. "Uncle Zhou, are you sure you don't want to change your spot? Get lost, don't bother me." Old man Zhou spoke impatiently. "If you want to sit in this seat, go ahead. It's easy to sit down, but once you do, getting back up will be difficult." Old man Zhou, of all people, had to take Huanca's seat. Just moments ago, the temperature in the carriage seemed to drop by nearly 10 degrees. A strong sense of resentment emanated from Huanca. Old Zhou had no idea taking a seat meant for the dead will cost you your life. Many passengers began complaining that the air conditioning was too cold. Some simply took out long-sleeved shirts and draped them over themselves. Not wanting to cause any trouble, I accepted the flight attendant's suggestion. With Huanco, I sat in the 2 seats at the very back of the carriage, away from the crowd. Seeing me slink away, old man Zhou regained his vigor. He hummed along to the tune playing on his phone, while complaining about how young people these days are so inconsiderate, in their era, when encountering an elder older than themselves. They would almost want to kneel down and pay their respects. I carefully examined Juanca's body. After confirming that the corpse-driving yellow talisman on her chest and the black dog blood thread on her right wrist were intact, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. The yellow talisman on Juanca's chest and the 5 red threads stained with black dog blood on her wrist, they are all used to suppress her resentment. As long as these two things remain normal, Juanca will not rise as a corpse and fully transform into a red-dressed vengeful ghost. I have followed my master for 6 years. Apart from the basic knowledge of corpse driving, what I have learned can be summed up in just 8 words. When you can back down, back down. When you can lie low, lie low. The practice of corpse driving in Western Hunan has long since fallen into decline. The jobs my master can still get these days are often fraught with danger. Take today, for example. The red-clad one who died a violent death, coupled with the fact that it's the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, when the gates of the underworld swing wide open. A single misstep on this journey could lead to eternal damnation. I couldn't understand why my master had chosen this particular time to send me out alone to guide the corpse on the road. Also, the true cause of Juanca's death has always been a matter of great concern to me. A person who genuinely wishes to die would not carry such heavy resentment, unless Juanca was forced into suicide. Just as I was thinking this, another argument erupted at the front of the carriage. A few mischievous kids, with nothing better to do, were actually kicking a ball around in the crowded train car. The surrounding passengers, unable to bear the disturbance, protested one after another. But they were met with a sharp retort from the parents of the mischievous kids. And a group of people ended up in a heated argument. I was just praying that these people wouldn't stir up trouble and end up offending Juanca like old man Joe did, but the children who had just been playing soccer in the carriage came over, making a commotion. One of the boys lifted his foot, the ball shot straight toward me. I instinctively dodged. The ball hit Juanca right on the head. This one ball. It managed to lower the temperature in the carriage by another 5 degrees. Auntie, give me the ball, brat, don't come any closer, I'll throw the ball to you. I forced myself to appear calm. Brat, you're asking for trouble. If this kick goes wrong, it could wipe out an entire carriage of people. I crouched down to help the boy find the ball, only to discover a pale hand had already grabbed the ball and thrown it out. Thank you, Auntie. The boy caught the ball. The smile lasted only a few seconds on his face. It quickly twisted into an indescribable horror. I looked at the boy, and cold sweat instantly broke out down my back. What he held in his hand was no leather ball. It was unmistakably Juanca's head, dripping with blood. The boy panicked. Dropping the head from his hands, he quickly threw himself back into his mother's arms, trembling uncontrollably. The other children also saw what had just happened. They quickly ran back to their seats and sat down, not daring to make any more noise. Sweetie, are you tired from playing? You're all sweaty. How old are you? How could you still wet your pants? Mom, there's a ghost in the car. Enough nonsense. Don't talk nonsense today. If you don't behave, I'll give you a beating. As the carriage fell silent again, the rolling head on the ground also turned back into a ball. What just happened seemed to be nothing more than Juanca giving these mischievous troublemakers a light punishment. You are magnanimous. Please don't stoop to the level of these troublemakers. I will escort you back to your hometown, so you may rest in peace. When the Ghost Festival comes next year, I will definitely burn more paper money for you. I mustered up the courage to turn around. At that sight, my heart nearly stopped. Juanca's previously half-open eyes suddenly widened to an enormous size. Those bloodshot eyes were fixed dead ahead, almost as if they were about to bleed. Juanca's stiff hands stretched forward, hanging in midair, as if grasping something out of thin air. Not only that, but 2 of the 5 fine lines at Juanca's right wrist snapped directly. Several dark red blood streaks spread along her pale wrist. All of these are signs of resentment leaking out, a sign that the corpse is about to rise at any moment. The next second, a scream echoed throughout the entire carriage. The sound came from old man Joe in the front row. He stood up shouting, pointing at his neck, and angrily exclaimed, "Who? Damn it, which bastard is trying to strangle me?" Old man Joe pointed at the surrounding passengers, cursing angrily. The frightened children and parents from earlier didn't dare to make a sound. The argument once again drew the attention of the train attendants. Old man Joe pointed at the 2 purplish-blue handprints on his neck, pressing aggressively. "See this? This is the evidence. I was just sleeping soundly. Someone suddenly grabbed me by the neck from behind." Treating an old man like this, doesn't your conscience ache? If you don't pay $1 million today, I'll call the police and have you arrested. I glanced at Juanca beside me. I noticed that the resentment around her had diminished considerably. In its place was a faint smile at the corner of her mouth. It was Juanca who had just grabbed old man Joe by the neck. If it weren't for the yellow talisman on his chest and the red thread on his wrist, which had been suppressing Juanca all along, Old man Zhou would have long since been a corpse by now. What nonsense are you talking? Just now, no one came near you at all. You must have run into a ghost, right? Oh right, today is the 15th of the 7th month. Pa, old man Zhou spat fiercely, then took out his reading glasses from his pocket and put them on. Whether you're human or ghost, if you dare mess with me, I'll kill you. After saying that, Old man Zhou began to compare the handprints of the other passengers in the carriage one by one. He firmly believed that the person who had just choked him was in this very carriage. The attendant couldn't persuade old man Zhou otherwise, so he had no choice but to follow along. As old man Zhou approached our area, Huanke's barely suppressed resentment began to spread outward once more. Seeing this, I quickly stood up, intending to shoo old man Zhou away. My sister and I never left our seats. There's no need for you to come over, that won't do. Who knows if you two are doing this on purpose? Before I could finish speaking, old Zhou stared at Huanke's face and suddenly froze. Mr. Zhou, would you like to continue the inspection? Hearing the flight attendant's inquiry from behind, old man Zhou finally snapped out of his daze. Forget it, I'll let this matter go for now. Old man Zhou took out his phone and hurriedly walked toward the restroom. Before going in, he glanced at Huanke once more. It seemed he had confirmed something, and only then did he shut the toilet door. What's going on with this old man? Hey, it's fine, everyone, let's rest. Could you turn off the air conditioning? It's really too cold. Old man Zhou's series of strange actions left all the passengers on the bus utterly confused. They were discussing whether the stubborn old man was just making a fuss for no reason, trying to get attention, but suddenly, I understood. Once on the train, Huanke harbored deep animosity toward old man Zhou. If it was because old man Zhou had forcibly taken her seat, causing Huanke to feel displeased, yet those unruly children had also bumped into Huanke. Huanke only scared the naughty kids and didn't actually harm them, but just now, Huanke really wanted to kill old man Zhou, considering the surprised look old man Zhou gave Huanke earlier. I speculate, old Zhou likely knows Huanke, even. Old Zhou is connected to Huanke's death. This train is the route Huanke often took while alive. It's not surprising that she would run into an acquaintance on the bus. Thinking of this, I inexplicably walked to the bathroom door. As a corpse handler, in order to deal with danger and preserve one's life, the first thing to practice is to keep your eyes and ears open. So, I had just approached the bathroom when I heard old man Zhou's hoarse voice coming through the door. Hey, Yi Lao-san. Did the girl that Cripple Sue bought last week run away from his house? Yes, that's right. The thin and small college student. She was quite kind-hearted. I think her name was Huanke. I ran into her on the train. She was with her sister. Good thing I changed my clothes today, so she didn't recognize me. What are you dawdling for? She must have run away from the Sue family. Sue the cripple bought this girl to be a wife for his 3 grown sons. During the day, they lock her in the pig pen, and at night, they take turns going in. They're screaming all night long. No wonder she ran away. Sometimes Sue the cripple even goes in himself. Can you believe it? A man his age still has that kind of energy. Let's get to the point. I checked their train tickets. They're getting off at the next stop, Jinsha Lake. Go find a secluded spot outside the station. This time, take both sisters together. The older sister isn't much to look at, but she'll do. When the time comes, we'll add a bit more money and sell the older sister to Cripple Sue as a wife. He's an old man. He shouldn't be competing with his son for a wife all day. Listening to the conversation in the restroom, I couldn't help but clench my fists. Beast, animal. Then, before old man Zhou came out, I returned to my seat and sat down. I watched as old man Zhou hummed a little tune all the way back to his seat. Just before sitting down, he didn't forget to turn around and give me and Huanke a meaningful look. That filthy gaze was like scrutinizing 2 items for sale. This glance caused the resentment within Huanke to once again uncontrollably spill outward. A line of bloody tears even slid down from the corner of her eye. I looked at Huanke. The bruises on her body and the marks left by long-term binding on her hands and feet involuntarily came to mind. The master was not wrong. Huanke did indeed commit suicide, but she must have been in such a state of utter despair that she would use a blade to slash her own wrist, leaving it so bloodied. Seeing the thin threads on Huanke's right wrist, 2 more snapped, I quickly activated the yellow talisman on her chest, forcibly suppressing the resentment. At the same time, I leaned close to Huanke's ear and whispered softly, I know you hate these scumbags, but if you recklessly break the seal and turn into a red-clothed vengeful spirit, you'll never be able to enter the cycle of reincarnation again. If you trust me, calm down first. Today, I will give you an answer. I don't have many good qualities, but I'm particularly good at holding grudges. What old man Zhou said, her sister isn't good-looking, so she settled for marrying Sue the cripple as his wife. I could never let her off, Perhaps my advice got through to Huanko, or perhaps the sealing talisman took effect. The resentment around Huanko was once again suppressed. She became as obedient and silent as she was before getting on the train. After a bumpy journey, the train finally arrived at Jinsha Lake Station. Huanko's hometown was not far from the station. I just need to safely send her back to her hometown, and I will have completed the task assigned by my master. As the train slowed down and arrived at the station, I also controlled the yellow talisman to help Huanko get off the train. Old man Zhou in the front seat had already packed his belongings in advance. Even though the train attendant repeatedly reminded Old man Zhou that this was not his destination, Old man Zhou still insisted and followed me off the train. Outside, the sky had completely darkened. The surroundings were very quiet. Occasionally, a few passengers would pass by, pulling their suitcases and walking briskly. Stepping out of the station, what came into view was a vast expanse of endless mountains and wilderness. Huanko's village was located deep within the mountains. The air was filled with the scent of incense and burning paper money. In the darkness, it seemed as though countless shadowy figures were watching the living pass by, restless and eager to move. On the night of the Ghost Festival, no one wanted to stay in this desolate wilderness. I led Huanko forward, taking just a few steps. Suddenly, a dark figure blocked our path. Old man Zhou was carrying his luggage, staring at me and Huanko with a mischievous grin. What a coincidence, young lady, we meet again. This old man is getting on in years and can't carry such heavy things. Help me get this luggage into the car. With that, he even pretended to be in pain, clutching his chest. When you're old, you're just useless. I've been searching for a long time, but no one is willing to help me. I smiled and took the things from Old man Zhou. Don't say any more, I'll help you. This is what I should do. Old man Zhou was overjoyed, seemingly not expecting me to agree so readily. Good child, it's not safe for two girls to be out so late at night. Grandpa will have my son take you back in a moment. Old man Zhou led the way ahead. He guided us all the way to a secluded path. An old-fashioned minivan was parked by the roadside, its hazard lights flashing. Before we could get close, a middle-aged man, shirtless and tattooed, holding a phone to his ear, stepped directly out of the car. The man had a dagger tucked at his waist and a face full of rough, menacing features. I guess he was the Yi Lao-san mentioned in Old man Zhou's phone call. Yi Lao-san, while listening to the phone, cooperated with Old man Zhou to surround me and Huanko in the middle. Let's see how things go today. They are determined to have their way with me and Huanko. I turned to look at Old man Zhou and spoke up, pretending to be scared. Grandpa, you tricked me and my sister into coming to this desolate wilderness. Could it be that you're planning to sell us off? Seeing that Thirdy had already blocked the way ahead, Old man Zhou dropped his pretense. Hee, did your sister tell you? What do you mean by trafficking? Don't make it sound so harsh, seeing how kind you two sisters are. Grandpa just wants to find you a good husband. I guarantee that by next year, you'll both be holding chubby baby boys. I grabbed Huanko's hand beside me, my face darkening as I whispered in a low voice, such good fortune, you should keep it for yourself. Aren't you afraid of retribution for doing something so immoral? Retribution, I've lived this long. If there was any retribution, it would have come by now. But you two young girls, you're still young and haven't had children yet. For 100,000 each, the old bachelors in the village would be fighting over you. Old man Zhou dropped his pretense, sneering as he moved closer and reached out toward me. I seized his wrist and twisted it in the opposite direction, using all the brute force I once had from carrying corpses at the funeral home. With a crisp snap, Old man Zhou's right hand was broken by me. A sound like a pig being slaughtered echoed throughout the mountain wilderness. Damn it, you little bitch, I'll have my fun with you in a moment. Yi Lao-san, what are you still looking at? Help out. As soon as Old man Zhou finished speaking, Yi Lao-san's sturdy figure strode straight over. I only felt a shadow flash by my side. I don't know when Huanko had already stood behind me. She was filled with resentment and directly blocked Yi Lao-san, who was approaching me. I didn't want Huanko to turn into a red-clothed ghost just to protect me, but this Yi Lao-san was burly and carried a dagger, making him much harder to deal with than Old man Zhou. Just as I was struggling with what to do, I saw Yi Lao-san in front of me suddenly drop to his knees with a thud. A foul-smelling liquid flowed straight down from his crotch. Zhou, Master Zhou, the village chief just called me, he said. The girl that Su the cripple bought committed suicide the day before yesterday. Not only that, but the girl turned into a vengeful ghost and killed all 6 members of Su the Cripple's family. Half of Su the Cripple's body is still hanging from the eaves of his house. I told you today is the Ghost Festival, we shouldn't have gone out, but you wouldn't listen. These 2 girls are clearly 2 fierce ghosts. On the night of the Ghost Festival, a cold wind rustled through the mountain wilderness. The cries of unknown creatures echoed from the surroundings, shattering the darkness. Before my eyes, Yi Lao-san's words gave Old man Zhou quite a fright. Yi Lao-san, what nonsense are you spouting? No, that's impossible. I walked with these 2 girls all the way here. They couldn't possibly. Before the words had even finished, Old man Zhou instinctively reached for the handprint on his neck. Recalling the incidents that happened on the train, fear instantly filled every inch of old Joe's skin. Yu Laosan's voice even carried a sob as he spoke, pointing at Huanke, trembling like a sieve. Master Zhou, there's no mistake, I've been watching for a while, and this girl has been walking on tiptoe the whole time. Girl, dear lady, please be merciful and spare me. This was all forced on me by Master Zhou. Upon hearing this, Old Man Zhou grabbed a stone from the ground and hurled it at Yu Laosan in front of him. You little brat, are you saying now that I forced you to do it? Wasn't it your Yu family who started this business of trafficking women in the first place? Your current wife, which year did you abduct her? Stop arguing, all of you. I had no intention of listening to these two scoundrels argue any further. I simply took a piece of paper and had them bite their fingers to draw blood. Then write down each other's crimes. I patted both of them on the shoulder and whispered, keep it up. Tonight, whoever has committed the lesser sin, I might just spare them. Upon hearing the chance to survive, Old Man Zhou and third brother Yi began accusing each other even more desperately. Old Man Zhou's right hand was broken, so he couldn't write. I had him take out his phone and record a video confession. These two individuals have been lingering around nearby towns for years. Under the pretense of offering help or introducing job opportunities, they abduct innocent women and sell them deep into the mountains. The mountains are isolated, and the mindset of favoring sons over daughters is particularly severe. Some families, finding their own newborn daughters unlucky, would also entrust these two to sell the girls to other villages for money, one after another, case after case. The accumulated crimes are shocking and horrifying. Over the years, countless unfortunate girls like Huanke have fallen victim to these two. Seeing Old Man Zhou and third brother Yi confess all the dirty deeds they've done over the years, I had them sign and fingerprint the confession. I plan to send all this evidence to the police station in a few days. Then, can we leave? Old Man Zhou gave third brother Yi a look. The latter snapped out of it and quickly knelt down, kowtowing to me in supplication. We know we were wrong, as long as you don't kill us. We'll give you anything you want. I said I would spare you, so I won't take your lives. I glanced at Huanke beside me, my heart aching as I gently wiped away the blood-tinged tears seeping from the corners of her eyes. But I forgot to tell you one thing. Tonight is the Ghost Festival, when the gates of the underworld open wide, and countless wandering spirits are searching everywhere for replacements. I just accidentally extinguished the 3 young fires on your shoulders, plus you're both injured, and the smell of blood on you is very strong. Right now, you're the best substitutes in the eyes of the wandering ghosts. As soon as the words were spoken, Old Man Zhou and third brother Yi also noticed the abnormality in their bodies. The consequence of having the young fire on one's shoulders extinguished is the invasion of yin energy into the body. When a large amount of yin energy invades the body in a short period of time, they find it extremely difficult to even stand up. Stupid girl, you said if we wrote down our crimes, you'd let us go. I pointed at Huanke beside me and said sternly, the girls you trafficked, they once begged you like this too. Did you ever let them go? Old Man Zhou, you've lived to such an old age and committed so many evil deeds. Today is your retribution, you damn bitch, you. Old Man Zhou's curse was only halfway out of his mouth. He froze in place, not daring to utter another word, because his body was filled with a large amount of yin and evil energy. At this moment, Old Man Zhou was just like me. He could see it too. The shadows that kept emerging from the darkness were rushing toward him, vying to be the first to reach him. Countless wandering spirits and lonely ghosts all wanted to be the first to possess these two bodies. The words that were originally meant to curse instantly turned into pleas for mercy. Help, save me. Your sister wasn't trafficked by me, she was. I quietly left this place with Huanke. It's a pity that Huanke couldn't witness the fate of these two with her own eyes. After all, I had to get her home for burial before midnight, until the screams gradually faded away. I then turned to Huanke beside me and voiced the question that had been troubling me all along. There's something I have to ask, or I'll feel unbearably stifled. Did you really kill Su the cripple's entire family? If Huanke had truly tortured and killed that family, she would have already risen as a corpse, transformed into a vengeful spirit in red. It's impossible to still be like this, merely suppressed by a yellow talisman. But, if the Su family wasn't killed by Huanke, then who is it, impersonating Huanke, who brutally murdered that family? Upon hearing this, Huanke trembled all over. The words cripple Su seemed to awaken the most painful memories deep within her. However, after whimpering for a long time, she still couldn't utter a single word. Right, with the yellow talisman suppressing you, you can't speak. Why did I have to meddle in this? That family committed countless evil deeds. Whoever killed them was simply carrying out divine justice. I looked at Huanke once more, gently smoothing her disheveled hair, and the makeup that had been smudged by tears. I will take you home for burial now, hoping you may soon enter the cycle of rebirth. Don't be like those wandering ghosts just now, unable to enter the cycle of reincarnation, only able to come out during the 7th month of the lunar year to find replacements. I really envy you. You still have family waiting for you, unlike me, born in a graveyard, raised on the charity of the village, never even seeing my parents' faces. If it weren't for that year when I was 12, my master passed through the village while guiding the dead and kindly took me as his disciple. I wouldn't have survived until now. Under the moonlight, I kept talking to myself like this while holding Huanca's hand, walking in the direction of her home. Huanca didn't mind my chattering either. She followed closely by my side the whole way, unusually quiet. Before midnight, Huanca's hometown, Xiaodao village, gradually came into view. The master had already informed Huanca's family of his death in advance. As agreed, Huanca's parents would be waiting for us at the village entrance. There is no greater sorrow in the world than for parents to bury their own child. I guess Huanca's parents would be crying uncontrollably when they saw her body, before entering the village. I specifically helped Huanca tidy up her makeup once more. I stitched up the knife wound on her right wrist and did my best to cover the bruises on her body. Come with a clear conscience, leave with a clean slate. This is the only thing I, as a corpse driver, can do for Huanca. However, when I brought Huanca's body to the couple waiting at the village entrance, I was astonished. There was not a trace of sorrow on their faces, only a numb expression, as if the one who had died was not their daughter at all. Master Chen's disciple. Hand your daughter over to me, and you may leave. The middle-aged woman approached me, holding a paper lantern. Both of you are Huanca's parents, Huang Fugue and Wang Chenhua. I presume. I want to confirm the identities of these two people first. The impression they give me really doesn't seem like Huanca's parents. But before I could finish speaking, the middle-aged man eagerly took out a yellow talisman from his pocket and stuck it on Huanca's forehead. The corpse-driving talisman comes in 2 copies, held separately by the corpse driver and the employer. Before driving the corpse, the first yellow talisman is used to suppress the resentment while making it easier for the corpse driver to control the corpse's movements. Now, apply the second one. Huanca will be completely sealed and turned into a corpse. The moment the talisman was affixed, Huanca suddenly collapsed to the ground. The middle-aged man had the second piece of yellow paper. This indicated that he was indeed the client for this trip, Huanca's father. So slow, 20 minutes short of midnight. If you miss the auspicious hour, I won't pay you a single cent. With that, Huang Fugue picked up Huanca. He then turned and walked toward the village with Wang Chenhua. They didn't even glance at Huanca. Wait, I hurried forward, wanting to stop the two of them. Just a moment ago, I suddenly realized something. Huanca's hometown, Xiaodao village, and the village she was trafficked to are almost in the same mountainous area. The straight-line distance between the two villages is no more than 10 kilometers. If Huanca was truly abducted, why did her family never go to rescue her? What strikes me as even more peculiar is, Huanca clearly died in Cripple Lu's house. Why didn't Master simply start from Cripple Lu's house and send Huanca back to Xiaodao village? Instead, he went to great lengths. First, he brought the body back to the funeral parlor, which was 100 kilometers away. Let me start from the funeral parlor again and send Huanca back to Xiaodao village. I didn't have time to voice the doubts in my heart. The next second, in the dark Xiaodao village, flames suddenly erupted. Countless torches were lit in unison, white lanterns, red paper figures. Not far from the village entrance, 8 coffins were placed directly in a circular arrangement. In the center of these 8 coffins stood a century-old locust tree. On the thick branches of the locust tree, a coffin was also nailed upright. There are 9 coffins in total, all chained together with iron chains soaked in black dog blood. I watched, cold sweat trickling down my back. This was not a setup for guiding a corpse to burial. It more closely resembled something I had secretly glimpsed in my master's notes. A sinister technique for altering fate known as the 9 mother-child corpse formation. The 9 mother-child corpse formation is an extremely malevolent art. To complete this technique, a total of 9 corpses are required. Among them, a mother's corpse must have suffered severe abuse during her lifetime and died with deep resentment. 8 child corpses, who were the ones who abused the mother's corpse during their lifetime, must also die unexpectedly and meet a violent end. Then, choose a place of foreen, and select a time of ruin. Bury the 9 corpses in black coffins. Connect the coffins with iron chains soaked in black dog's blood. Then nail the corpses inside the coffins with peachwood nails to complete the 9 mother-child corpse formation. Inside the 9 mother-child corpse formation, the 9 corpses transform into vengeful spirits, entangled with each other, never to rest for eternity. All things in the world emphasize the balance of yin and yang. Because the 9 mother-child corpse formation is inherently too sinister and evil, it can actually improve the feng shui around the formation, making the surrounding land rich and fertile. The descendants of the surrounding families have bright futures and thriving households. Besides Huanca's parents, several villagers had also gathered at the entrance of the village. They were all dressed in black from head to toe. with strange patterns painted on their faces using black dog's blood. Greed filled the eyes of every single person. Shadow Village is surrounded by mountains on all sides, a natural location of foreign energies. Today is the 15th day of the 7th lunar month. At midnight, when the yin energy is at its peak, it is the perfect time for destruction. The people of Xiaodao Village have already made preparations in advance to complete the 9 yin mother-child corpse formation. But where did they learn about this sinister technique? Moreover, once they complete the technique, Huanke will be completely trapped here, forever unable to enter the cycle of reincarnation. I stepped forward, intending to stop these people. The next second, a large hand reached out and firmly grasped my shoulder. With just one motion, it extinguished the 3 young flames on my shoulders. Following that, a hoarse yet familiar voice came from behind. "Good disciple, I underestimated you. I never expected you could actually bring the red-clothed one here alive, Master." I turned around. Right in front of me was my master, Qin Xiang, with that aged face. The once kind master now had a fierce gleam in his eyes. His current expression and appearance were completely different from the past 6 years, or perhaps, this was my master's true nature all along. The master was followed by 2 others. It was none other than Old Man Zhou and third brother Yi. These 2 had already been brutally murdered by the malevolent ghost, reduced to 2 blood-soaked corpses. The master had used corpse-driving yellow talismans to bring them all the way here. "Oh, Master Chen, you've finally arrived," I thought. Huan Fugui immediately put down Huanke in his arms and warmly stepped forward to greet him, but he was met with a cold glare from the master, which made him retreat. "What did you think? Did you think I wasn't coming? Don't worry. Since I've taken your money, I'll make sure this gets done." After saying that, the master pointed to the dead Old Man Zhou and third brother Yi behind him. "Want to know why their village has been stronger than yours over the past decade? 15 years ago, I personally changed the feng shui for their village. Fate, luck, and feng shui, these are the 3 keys." Village Chief Huang. "If you want Shadow Village to prosper and have thriving male descendants in the future, today, you must listen to me. Yes, 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 everything is in your hands." Master Chen, led by Huan Fugui, the entire village knelt before the master. Those people, in front of my master, were as obedient as a pack of dogs. The master nodded, waved his hand grandly, and said, 10 minutes to midnight, follow my instructions and place the bodies into their respective coffins. Of the 8 coffins arranged around the perimeter, 6 have already been filled with bodies. It was none other than Cripple Lu, torn in 2, Cripple Lu's 3 sons, along with his parents, plus, there's Old Man Zhou and third brother Yi. These 8 people had previously forced Huanke to his death. They are the perfect candidates to complete the 9 yin mother-child corpse formation. I look at the master before me, who now feels utterly unfamiliar. In an instant, everything became clear. It was you who, through Old Man Zhou, lured Huanke to Lu the cripple. All to use Huanke as the mother corpse in the 9 yin mother-child corpse formation, and it was you, who, in the name of a vengeful ghost, brutally murdered Lu the cripple's entire family. All of this was your design from the start. Even I can't. My master extinguished the yang fire on my shoulders. At this moment, I was being invaded by a massive amount of yin energy. Even speaking became extremely difficult. Before them, the villagers placed Old Man Zhou and third brother Yi's bodies into the 2 remaining coffins on the outskirts. They then nailed Huanke's body onto the coffin that was placed upright in the center of the locust tree. Seeing that everything was ready, Master finally looked me in the eye, quick-witted and remarkably observant, truly worthy of being my disciple. "Qin Xiang, then think again. Why did I have you escort Huanke back today?" "Ha, what's there to think about?" I looked up helplessly at the sky. What came to mind was the scene when I first met my master at the village entrance at the age of 12. I heard there's a bold girl in the village who dares to sleep alone in the graveyard at night. That girl is you, right? Don't you have any family? You're right. The graveyard is full of motionless corpses. Nothing to be afraid of. Would you like to see a moving corpse? Who am I? My name is Qin Xiang, a corpse herder from Shaanxi. Come with me. I'll give you a name. From now on, you shall be called Yifan. The memory abruptly ends. Looking at the master before me, all that remained in my heart was the anger of being deceived by a scheme. He had deceived me for a full 6 years. As a corpse driver from Shaanxi, you have spied on the secrets of heaven, recklessly altered feng shui, and taken human lives. In this life, you are destined to suffer from the 5 misfortunes and 3 deficiencies, reaping the consequences of your actions. Today, this 9 yin mother-child corpse formation is yet another grave violation of the natural order and human ethics. The 9 yin mother-child corpse formation requires the caster to sacrifice themselves, to be devoured by vengeful spirits, in order to complete the ritual. 6 years ago, you pretended to be kind and took me as your disciple, all because you wanted to use me as a substitute, so that one day I could die in your place. Qin Xiang, oh no. I should call you Yifan instead. back then, you gave me a name and even set my birthday, all in preparation for today. Haha, the master laughed, but in his eyes, an even stronger killing intent was revealed. Chinxiang is your senior brother's name. It's a pity that he never managed to understand things the way you have, even until his death. 6 years, one cycle. I thought you would end up like your senior brother, dying on the path of guiding the dead. Ah, never mind, today. Let your master personally send you off. Disciple, do not blame your master. As long as I can change the feng shui of Xiadao village, village chief Huang has promised to give me a large sum of money every year. Your master is getting old, and I too hope to one day retire to the mountains and forests, no longer relying on corpse driving to make a living. With that, the master pointed at Huang Ke. Compared to that girl, the suffering you've endured is nothing at all. Village Chief Huang is also a ruthless man. In order to defy fate, he even plotted against his own daughter. Before my eyes, Huang Ke's body had already been nailed into the center coffin by Huang Fugui using peachwood nails. The villagers had set up the 7-star altar in advance. The master brought me before the altar and threw me to the ground. Then, he bit his finger, using blood mixed with cinnabar. He wrote his birth date on my face, as soon as midnight struck. A chilling wind swept through the surroundings. The master walked to the altar, lit the incense and candles with talismans, and chanted incantations. He then picked up the soul-capturing bell and shook it in rhythm with the incantations. The next second, the iron chains connecting the 9 coffins began to shake violently. The surrounding temperature also dropped almost to freezing point. Huang Ke, nailed inside the coffin, trembled uncontrollably. From his eyes, 2 streams of bloody tears flowed. It's clear that Huang Ke is desperately resisting. She doesn't want to be refined into the 9 mother-child corpse formation. Seeing this, the master frowned slightly and complained, Village Chief Huang, your daughter isn't as obedient as you said. Huang Fugui, who was kneeling on the side, stood up anxiously upon hearing this and pointed at Huang Ke, cursing him loudly, you worthless thing, you've been causing trouble for me for so long. Now that I'm asking you to repay me, you're still so unwilling. The whole village spent a fortune to hire Master Chen to change the feng shui. If you don't cooperate properly, do you believe I'll grind your bones to dust tomorrow? All right, you kneel down first. Don't disturb me from completing the spell. The master shouted angrily, then shook the soul-capturing bell in his hand even more vigorously. At the same time, he grabbed the long whip soaked in black dog blood beside him, lashing it again and again with all his might onto Huang Ke's frail body. During his life, Huang Ke was schemed against by his own parents, tricked into the home of Cripple Lu, where he suffered abuse and humiliation. After death, she still had to endure the torment of whipping. I watched as the red threads used to stitch Huang Ke's wounds were all torn apart, and deep, bone-penetrating blood marks appeared one after another on her body. I couldn't bear to watch any longer, so I shouted loudly for my master to stop. Ha, you still have the heart to care about others. Don't rush, it will be your turn soon. As soon as the master finished speaking, 8 dark shadows rose from the 8 coffins surrounding them, the deceased old man Zhou, 3rd brother Yi, and the entire family of Cripple Lu. Under the influence of the spell, they had all transformed into vengeful spirits. This was the final step in completing the 9 mother-child corpse formation. 8 fierce ghosts rushed at me all at once, charging straight toward me. The fierce ghosts greedily gnawed at my body. A tearing pain instantly spread throughout my entire body. In the eyes of these fierce ghosts, I was the one who cast the spell. As long as I die, the 9 mother-child corpse formation will be complete, with my last ounce of strength. I lift my head and look around. The scene that greets my eyes is the group of greedy villagers, the blood-soaked Huang Ke, and my master within the formation, along with his pained expression. The wounds where the fierce ghost had gnawed me to the point of bleeding profusely also appeared on my master. He was forced to stop his spell, kneeling on one knee, staring at me with an expression of disbelief. Why, master? There's something I've never told you. My mother died while giving birth to me. It was the village chief who insisted on cutting open my mother's belly to pull me out. At the time, I had already stopped breathing, but just as the village chief was about to bury me in the grave, I suddenly opened my eyes. The village chief said I was a corpse-born child, a living dead, who could only grow up in the graveyard, surviving on the charity of others. You're asking a living dead to borrow life from you. To complete the 9 mother-child corpse formation, master, if you borrow life from the dead, you'll have to repay it with your own life. For the first time, I saw a look of terror on my master's face. He smashed the soul-capturing bell in his hand and kicked over the 7-star altar. Then, as if gone mad, he grabbed an axe and tried to chop through the iron chains connecting the coffin. Only by destroying the formation could his master have a chance to survive. Seeing this, Huang Fugui refused to stand by, to defy fate. Huang Fugui nearly spent the entire village's savings and even sacrificed his own daughter's life. He would never let his master destroy the nearly completed formation. You damn bastard, you took the money and didn't do the job. Let go, or we'll all die together. Die then, as if I'm afraid of you. In the blink of an eye, the villagers were brawling with the master. All sorts of foul language accompanied the punches and kicks. Previously, the master and the villagers had chosen to cooperate due to shared interests. Now, they can also turn against each other for the sake of profit. Soon, the master was beaten to a bloody pulp by the villagers. Before falling, he tightly grasped one of the iron chains, pulling the coffin beside him to the ground as well. One coffin after another toppled over like dominoes. Finally, Huang Ke, who was nailed to the locust tree, was dragged down directly. Earlier, the master's whipping had already torn the yellow talisman on Huang Ke's chest to shreds, and now, the peachwood nails that bound Huang Ke were also pulled out along with them. Without the restraint of these magical tools, Huang Ke's entire body was instantly filled with blood. She finally rose from the dead, transforming into a true red-clothed vengeful ghost. The powerful resentment emanating from the red-clothed vengeful ghost drove away all the surrounding vengeful spirits. Even the trees and greenery where it stood quickly withered and decayed. Daughter, Coco, look, I'm your father, you're my daughter, you can't harm me. Coco, I'm your Uncle Zhong. When you were 3 years old, I even bought you candy. Help me, save me. Screams, wails, pleas for mercy, accompanied by the smell of blood. From this moment on, it never stopped again, until the moon set and the sun rose, and all the ghosts dispersed. As the first ray of sunlight rose in the east, everything around fell into complete silence. I forced myself to endure the pain and stood up, stepping over the pools of blood and scattered corpses. I walked forward step by step. I saw Huang Fugui's body torn in half, his face frozen in terror. In that final moment before death, did he regret his actions? Then I saw my master, collapsed in a heap of blood. He held on to his last breath and looked at me. Then, as if confirming something, his head tilted to the side, and he stopped moving completely. I walked aimlessly forward until I saw the crimson figure drifting deeper into the mountains. At that moment, a flood of indescribable emotion surged from the depths of my heart. I knelt on the ground, crying as I apologized to Huang Ke. In the end, I still couldn't stop her from turning into a red-clothed ghost. In the end, I still couldn't let her rest in peace and enter the cycle of reincarnation. In the distance, Huang Ke seemed to sense something as well. Before completely merging with the darkness, she slowly turned around and looked at me. That was the first time I saw a smile on her face. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.